Before he was For Every One of Us, stood for Every One of Us, before Sam Jones, Max von Sydow, and that incredibly sweet Queen soundtrack, there was the campy black and white version with the plywood sets, cheesy costumes, and, man-eating Muppets? Aha, it's the Turkish version. Get ready for an out-of-this-world case of Deja Vu. Baytekin Fezada Çarpışanlar, Flash Gordon's Battle in Space. Average Earthman Baytekin gets a shock, literally, when he's kidnapped by aliens from another galaxy. Driven off course and thrust into the middle of an intergalactic war, he soon finds himself the only obstacle standing between the evil Emperor Ming and his conquest of the Earth. Now before we cry rip-off, it should be mentioned that Flash Gordon was originally a bit of a rip-off himself. Alex Raymond's Flash Gordon comic strip was created specifically to cash in on the success of rival Buck Rogers in 1934. Becoming a huge hit in its own right, the Flash Gordon strip found a Turkish publisher the very next year. But there was more to the translation process than just the language. The Turkish government was not particularly fond of comics or foreign imports in the 30s, so an effort had to be made to domesticate them. Therefore, Flash Gordon became Baytekin. He got off easy. Many blonde characters would also be given darker hair so that they'd even look more Turkish. Nevertheless, the fair-haired Flash was adopted as a national hero. By the 1970s, he had been dubbed the Pilot of the Future, a moniker possibly borrowed from British comic Dan Dare, and his pages were adorned with propaganda slogans like "Help strengthen the Turkish Air Forces." How could this guy not have a movie? Comics were already common fodder for the film studios of Yeşilçam, Turkey's bygone Hollywood. Superman, Batman, the Phantom, Spy, Smasher, and many more punched and karate-chopped onto Turkey's silver screens. But these were rarely adaptations of the original comics. They were inspired instead by the movie serial versions of the 1930s and 40s. So it's no surprise that Baytekin Fezada Çarpışanlar owes much of its visual style to the old Flash Gordon cliffhangers. Many other elements remain recognizable despite their long trip across the ocean. Baytekin, for example, joins forces with rebel Prince Otter, true heir to the planet's throne and stand-in for Prince Baron. Ever the cosmic playboy, Baytekin is coveted by all the ladies and seduced by the substitute Princess Ara, Queen Nola. And of course, Ming is still merciless. But this isn't just your grandfather's Flash Gordon. Baytekin's rocket ships have been upgraded to the modern saucer variety. Flash's new main squeeze is the prince's sister rather than a companion from Earth, and brilliant inventor Dr. Zarkov is nowhere to be found. Well, almost nowhere. Among Prince Otter's men is a certain scientist with decidedly, un-Turkish facial hair. Sure, there's still plenty of meaty monster punching, and Baytekin's Sandmen might look suspiciously like Flash's Rockmen, but the original and bizarre Yeşilçam imagination shines through with perhaps the most outrageous monster ever committed to film, the carnivorous Muppet. Of course, taking liberties with the source material was nothing new. In 1954, a TV series made in West Germany had already reimagined Flash and friends as galactic police in the vein of Rocky Jones and Captain Video. Over the years, Flash has been dull and exciting, original and derivative, a rebel leader, and a law-enforcing space ranger. So if one time he fought puppets and changed the flow of gravity while wearing radio dials on his nipples, well, that's just Tuesday on Planet Mongo. Flash Gordon comics were so popular in Turkey that they even spawned counterfeits. Super Gordon magazine would supplement original Flash Gordon adventures with swipes from other books. Stories like Uranium Thieves and Escape 455 were in fact transplants of Brick Bradford and other adventure strips, with the heroes' faces redrawn as Flash. We might have a whole new genre here, Sly-Fi. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.